Okay, hi, hello to the public. We are getting started late because we don't have a quorum, but we expect to have a quorum in about 10 minutes or so. So just that's what's going on, and we'll be convening the meeting as soon as our third board member arrives. Is stream sharing the agenda on
Like putting it, like screen sharing, yeah. You? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. Settle down. I swear it was 7. I'm just like, okay. First meeting. Great first impression. We are streaming. Went ahead to let the public know that we would be getting started late.
Hi, Renee. If you peek behind you, you'll see me. I'm Mary Lou. I'm the attorney for the town. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm sorry I'm late.
It's okay. It gave me time to change into my lawyer dress.
I think I'm gonna try streaming the agenda. Just kidding. Not working. That's okay.
Okay, I'd like to call the town board, the Town of Rochester Town Board regular meeting to order. If we could just stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nina, could you do the roll call, please?
Councilman Coleman, absent. Councilwoman Nindiles, absent. Councilwoman Speesa
Here.
and Councilwoman Ciardi. Welcome. And Supervisor Green, Supervisor Allen.
I'm here.
Oh my God,
I'm here. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
But I said, great, I told myself that last night. So just before we head into the resolutions, I'd like to just take a moment to welcome our new town board member, Renee Ciardi, to the table. Renee was appointed last week and has been sworn in, and the appointment, as my appointment, is until December 31st, 2024. So welcome, Renee.
Thank you.
Thank you for jumping in. So the first item on the agenda is the town board I'll make a motion that the town board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor.
Second.
So the only edits I have are that we are not doing the budget mods. So if you can just, I guess I'll make that to amend that we will be tabling the budget modification, so items G and H.
Second as amended.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay, so next, the other thing, so for the board, I usually will present the financial report for June, and then usually at our business meeting, I will also give you a copy of our year-to-date, so the profit loss with the budget versus actual. But we just upgraded our QuickBooks, and something like I literally did it last week, and my account is in the wrong version. So when I was running that report, I was like, we definitely spent that money already in our last audit. So I checked right before and I went into the admin account and I could see. So I just didn't have time to, once I'd already run all those reports. So I'm gonna I'll submit the report to our clerk and to you guys at our workshop meeting. And we'll do the total expenditures for June at that meeting too. So I don't have a correspondence report. I think most of the things I wanted to share are in the supervisor's update. So for grant reports, New York Rising is almost complete. I just have to, there's some reports that I have to submit for that. And sorry, I'm trying to take notes on my computer. Okay. And then the Bridge New York. Okay, so Bridge New York, we had a meeting with landowners who'd be affected by the land acquisition for that bridge replacement. So Renee, we received a Bridge New York grant to replace the Boys Mill Bridge, and that grant is a New York State grant. There's a certain process you have to follow for that. So we have been following that and have been getting a lot of input from the people who live closest to the bridge and have been working with them on a bridge design. And so we've had 2 meetings as of February 20, 2024, and are engineering firm that we hired to do the bridge, the design came back recently with an updated design based on the feedback from that second info session. So that was presented to the affected landowners on June 19th. And we had a meeting at the bridge, and the engineers will be presenting that new design to us as a board very soon. So the next step for that is that we will need to approve, we will have to memorialize the design. And then once that happens, it will go out to bid. And so we are still hoping to be on track for a completion at the end of 2025, but I do have to apply for an extension. So we are a little bit off schedule. We were supposed to have the design memorialized in early June, but we haven't done it yet. You guys haven't seen it yet. So they're working on that. I have a meeting with them on Friday, and then hopefully I'll be bringing that design. So once that happens, we can put it out to bid, and then we'll be able to see where we're at with that. So that's moving forward. I will give another update about Boyce Mill Bridge with the highway superintendent report. The county ARPA funding that we got, we received a grant to install bathrooms at our park, and that we do have a preliminary sort of sketch plan of that. And after this week, the engineer is going to do the test sites for the well and septic, just to confirm the location of that, because we will have to install new well and septic there. So this other thing I wanted to share is we are participating. I left a flyer for you guys in the Safe Start to Summer program, which is a county initiative through the county executive and the county sheriff. They're providing us with a portable radar feedback speed sign kit. And the only reason why we don't have it is because they were short on hardware. So they're waiting for the hardware to get in, and then I can pick it up. I requested that be installed on Whitfield to start, and the data will be collected and monitored by the county. And they will use county sheriffs to do traffic control based on the data that they're seeing. The other aspect of the Safe Start to Summer is just more resources through the sheriff's office. So they are gonna, I sent them a list of high volume traffic areas that we have in the summer that are on town roads. And they'll see if they can have some extra just monitoring for speed. So this is about monitoring for speed and enforcement of local speed limits. So if there might be more activity in terms of seeing sheriffs around, but it's part of this program. The first phase of it is supposed to be the first 2 weeks of July. So it technically started on Monday and goes to the 14th. After we've had our radar feedback sign posted somewhere for 2 weeks, we bring it back to the county and they'll charge it, and then we can actually move it to another location. So I think this is good. And I haven't submitted the second road yet. So that's something that we can discuss. Absolutely. Do you have any thoughts?
No, well, not.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely we can put it on the agenda next month or next week, workshop, or we can just like talk one-on-one about that. So then I just wanted to review the upcoming meetings and events. We have on Sunday, July 7th, is our third and final public information session about the community preservation plan and fund. And that is it's at Rochester 2 Firehouse. Yeah, Rochester 2 Firehouse at 1 p.m. So that's at 922 Sampsonville Road. The other meeting that I wanted to just highlight is our workshop meeting, which is next Thursday. We will be having 3 public hearings. So the public hearings about the community preservation plan and fund for the 3 local laws will be taking place at that meeting ahead of our workshop meeting. And I didn't have any other notes about meetings or events. There might be some in the liaison reports. So we'll review the July workshop. We'll build the July workshop meeting agenda at the end of our meeting today. And then for the July audit meeting, we do have a public hearing for local law F, which is a rezoning. But otherwise, right now, the audit meeting would be that, and then just the audit of bills. So our next agenda item is attorney for the town report. Mary Lou, we didn't talk about this. Did you have anything you wanted to report? Oh, you're muted. Of course.
So Renee, you'll find that every meeting, when they say it's time for the attorney report, I start talking and then everybody yells out, "You're muted." That's just how it goes. Nothing of substance, Aaron and I keep in touch. If anything is going on, we had a meeting today to go over the things on the agenda, but no new lawsuits, nothing to report.
Great. Thank you. Town clerk tax collector report.
Nothing to report.
Okay, so yeah, our we might have something at our workshop meeting for that. Huh?
It's only 2 days until the month.
I know, and also for us, like the audit was just 2 business days ago. So I think meeting light is good.
Yeah.
Tonight.
The last meeting was 2 meetings ago.
Yeah, it was. So highway superintendent report. So I do have just a little bit to report from our highway superintendent. And so just the board should know and the public should know, and many of the public already know, that the Boyce Mill Bridge was closed as of July 1st. So that was yesterday. So this was a decision made by the DOT because of the very poor condition of the bridge. We received an updated report. Jeff received an updated report about the condition of the bridge and their recommendation is that it be closed. The timing of this, we fully see and understand, is in conjunction with the Fantine Kill Bridge being closed and the detour from Sampsonville. However, the Boyce Mill Road was never meant to be part of the detour because of the poor condition of the road. So as I reported, we are planning on replacing the Boyce Mill Bridge. The town has been planning on replacing it for 2 years now since we received the Bridge New York grant. But unfortunately, there has just the wear and tear on that bridge has made it so we can't keep it safe. It's just really not safe to have it open. There's really no way to police weight limits over a bridge to the extent that is needed. If it was an 8-ton bridge, that's, there's enough wiggle room, but it's it's to the point where, so basically we're following the DOT's direction and, you know, as Jeff says, that we understand that this is an inconvenience, but we really must follow the discretion of the bridge inspectors. So also, Highway Superintendent Fry says that anyone is welcome to come and look at the pictures if they have any doubt about the condition. So we have documentation. They took a lot of pictures when they were inspecting the bridge, and in fact, said that when cars were driving over it while they were doing the inspection, it was terrifying to be under the bridge when that was happening. So then the other point along with that is that the Fantine Kill Bridge, which is the section on Sampsonville that is closed, that was entirely a county decision. That's a county bridge. And even though it impacts our town and our highway superintendent, that isn't something that is under our purview. So we do understand how inconvenient it is to have those two roads closed. But that is slated to reopen in September. So we're hopeful that it stays on track. Also, reporting just from what I know is that a lot of the road improvements have been completed. So we saw that in our audit of the vouchers last week. We had a high total, but a lot of that is CHIPS reimbursable. So that we'll be putting in, the highway superintendent will be putting in for reimbursement for that in August. But a lot of the work has been completed. So that's good. So now we will get into department updates and liaison reports. And I think we are going to rely heavily on Charlotte.
Hi guys, welcome to my TED Talk department report. Okay, I'm gonna start with the constabulary because this one got taken right in front of me. So Constable Miller reported that the academy is going well. We should have additional personnel available within weeks. Towpath Road has been garnering additional complaints due to the road blockages / parking situations surrounding the deep hole swimming spot. Camps are in process of opening this week, and we expect a large uptick of traffic related complaints, as well as noise and light increases into the summer season. And the constabulary answered 14 direct calls for service and other duties in June of 2024. These included 10 neighbor to neighbor and quality of life complaints, 3 resident traffic complaints, Towpath Road, Boys Mill Road, Whitfield Road, environmental complaints on Cherrytown Road, 4 new building department violations, 3 new court cases open, 7 court proceedings remain open, 2 court proceedings closed. In June, overall complaints have decreased significantly, neighbor-to-neighbor complaints being the foremost. As always, short-term rental properties continue to generate many quality of life complaints, especially on holidays, Fridays, and weekends. Other complaints primarily are in regards to trespassing, loud noise, road / driveway blockages, as well as household trash dumping on town roads and residents' properties. We continue to work independently with the building department on those issues. Everyone have a happy, healthy, and safe July 4th holiday. Rich Mill. So that is that one. For elder care, Rich. So the elder care department, so we had the elder info session luncheon on June 17th here, which even though it was not very well attended, I still think it was a success. We even got one person information that they needed that's a senior citizen for a resource. So if in my eyes, it was very successful in that sense. We only had about I think 8 or 9 participants in total that came through while we were open. But it was great. There was a couple conflicts scheduling things, like one of the seniors groups had a trip that day that we didn't know about, so it participates in a lot of our programming. But we did get 1 new sign up in the elder care program from that event. And a lot of people walked away with really good information. We had someone from Office of the Aging here. We also had someone from the assessor's office here to answer questions about senior exemptions. And the girls had a table for the rec department, those senior programs. The town of Rochester Food Pantry had a table. I myself for the Rondout Valley Food Pantry had a table. And Rich Miller was there for the elder care program to let people know what we had. And I think that was everyone that we had attended, but great information for the few that did get it. And other than that, and our one new person there, we are working, sorry, I have to just read through this, make sure I don't share anything I'm not supposed to. We're working, we have an elder care participant that we're working with Office of the Aging and Adult Protective Services, who's recently got out of the hospital. So the elder care program is helping to liaison some of that for that participant, which is great. And next I'll do the rec department. So, and this will touch base on the elder care program again. Sorry, Ashley writes me a script to read, so I'll just read it. The elder care information session that was held on June 17th at the Harold Lipton Community Center was very informative for those who attended. Thank you to all who came and all who helped make it happen. The Town of Rochester summer program will begin on Monday morning. The rec department is ready to go and very excited to start. Be sure to follow our adventures on Facebook. Thank you to the Rondout Valley Food Pantry for several large donations of foods and drinks from the summer program again this year. We always appreciate their support and dedication to the community. The rec department is focusing now on making changes / repairs to the backyard of the community center and is looking forward to working with the board to make these improvements happen as soon as possible. And besides that, that was from Ashley, our recreation director, for the rec department. And now I'm going to read a letter that I'll also forward to you all, and I'll forward to the town clerk because they want it in the official record. But this is a letter from the Senior and Youth Recreation Commission. Dear Supervisor Nowen and town board members, at our most recent meeting, the Senior Youth and Recreation Commission has come up with a list of renovations / repairs that need to be addressed as soon as possible in the backyard of the community center building. After surveying the property ourselves, along with Councilwoman Smeesaf, we have come up with a list of concerns. They are as follows. 1, replace the entire fence around the property. 2, install and maintain new playground equipment and refurbish the basketball court. 3, remove the collapsed Quonset hut and all debris from the entire area. That's for Renee. You've been watching meetings. That's the concrete area that I've been talking about sometimes in the backyard. 4, maintain / improve property landscaping, i.e. prune trees, not trees. Remove poison ivy, weed whack, and mow regularly. 5, maintain wooden planters, possibly remove planter behind the barn. 6, maintain the sandboxes regularly, add sand, remove weeds. We understand that these improvements take time and require significant planning, but we feel that this cannot be put off any longer. It is evident that the supervisor and the current town board can care deeply about this community and our programs. It is imperative that these improvements be made immediately. Safety is the #1 concern for both the Recreation Department and the Senior and Youth Recreation Commission. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, the Senior and Youth Recreation Commission and the Town of Rochester Recreation Department. And I'll forward that letter to you. Great. Right, and and the Housing Committee, I forgot to ask for an update one. Alana, can I give privilege of the floor to Alana to give an update on our last meeting?
If you want to.
Sure, yeah, so we were waiting to view the real estate transfer tax conservation thing, and discuss amongst ourselves so that we can comment potentially to you guys ahead of the vote, so I guess during public hearing. And it's been a pretty deep dive on some of our parts to understand everything. And the question about the percentages and how they can be adjusted if new legislation is enacted. So that's one thing. We are also, reviewing short-term rental, numbers, caps, potentially to recommend to you guys for your August
Yeah.
business meeting.
Yeah.
So that, our next meeting's on the 17th, so we'll be talking about that. And then coming back to you with our recommendations on that for the next year. And then, those have been the primary focus for this month. And then our, member who lives, remotely is in town for the month, so we're gonna get together with her and see her in person, which would be nice. I think that's it, right, Charlotte?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that sounds right from everything. Yes, I may or may not have forgotten that, like that stuff was really learned late. So,
Great, and we also have the opportunity through the county is happening.
yes, yeah, and the opportunity with the county, they finally have gotten signed contracts for the housing site inventory, so. Kai emailed back a few emails from the housing committee I saw today,
Nothing to do with that, it's all about.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has yet to answer my emails about specifically the housing site.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for an update just from Kai for that, so I'm still at contract sign and I haven't seen any updates.
Oh, okay, let me see if anything's come in for me that maybe didn't have you on it. Okay,
cool.
I'm not to put you on the spot, Renee, but would you like to give an update from the Agricultural Advisory Committee?
Yes, I missed their last meeting. I had a prior commitment for work, and but the meeting before, I did not make that meeting, but I did submit a letter that they would like to give to the board about putting up right to farm signs. There would be 6 signs, all of the welcome to Rochester, town of Rochester signs. It would just be an addition, so it wouldn't be like a work order, I think it was.
Right.
The hardware of installing them and everything would be a little bit less than putting them randomly throughout the town. And that's about, they were revising the zoning, as well. They changed some of the language. They were kind of talking about how they could figure out like how many farms are in the town of
Mhm.
Rochester. And then the debate came up as to what qualifies as a farm.
Yeah.
So that's something moving forward as well, but I did miss their last meeting, so I'm not sure what they have.
Okay. Great, and then I can give some brief updates. My liaisonships are carried over from before I was the town supervisor, and we are hoping to do a little reworking now that we have a full board. But not quite ready to make those appointments. The Environmental Conservation Commission held their tire pull last weekend. And from what I've heard, pulled out a lot of tires again. The planning board is very busy with new applications. I think it's really good for us to, I can circulate the agenda, but to take a look at the new applications that are coming before them. To me, it's a reminder that we need to pass the code updates because we're gonna be getting to this point where all
That's
this
gonna
stuff
be
is
weird.
happening and, I think it's important that we try to get that enacted so that there's not confusion about when. And I think there's the transfer station, we are fully staffed and I continue to receive a lot of positive feedback about having staff on the floor. So it's been a change for the public because we haven't had staff monitoring the bins and offering assistance, but that was a directive of the board and of me through the board that we be able to like be really compliant with our bins. I'm trying to organize a training of our staff where we go to the UCRA and do their training, and also so that our staff can see the MERP, which is the big piece of equipment that all recyclables except for cardboard, but get sorted by hand. It's a conveyor belt system. And it really sheds light on why some of the things are as strict as they are in terms of what they're looking for in the bins. I, as part of being recycling lead, I'm also on the county recycling oversight committee. We had a meeting this past month, and we are currently looking at just the county is both, there's a lot of press coverage about the county looking at landfill siting, but they're also looking at a reuse innovation center and hired a consultant to prepare a proposal for what that could look like. And so we are reviewing that proposal and making recommendations on how to make that, what I think is how to make the Reuse Innovation Center more impactful in terms of waste reduction. We have a mandate to do like 80% waste reduction by 2030. And at this point, I'm feeling like I don't know how it's going to be possible to do that. But so that's, you know, bringing the town, like bringing the experience of the town to the county level is kind of how that committee is. And I'm sure there's more I could share. But I think I didn't prepare formal reports, and then we'll look forward to when we have a full board and we can get reports from our other departments and boards and commissions. That brings us to the public comment here portion of our meeting. And so the public comment portion of our meeting is a period in our regular business meeting where we carve out time and space for members of the public to address the board. And so it's not a public hearing, but it is part of our meeting, and comments are entered into the record. But like a public hearing, what we ask is that the public address the board and not the public. We also, in our adopted rules of procedure, do not answer questions directly. And it is not a back and forth with the board. However, we do have a town board member time carved out. So if any member of the board would like to address questions, issues, or concerns, they may use that time after the public comment portion of the meeting to do so. So with that, are there any members of the public that would like to address the board? Alana.
So I just wanted to follow up on the incident from a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I'm putting this on the post. So on, I believe it was the 15th of June, Saturday, Innis had an event that went, that had outdoor amplified music, or indoor but barn doors open music. Very loud. It went until 1 a.m. At one point I could hear the distinct lyrics. I knew every song, and that's how crisp it was. We live about 3/4 of a mile direct line to Innis. So not around the corner, but I guess on the other side of town. Calls were made to both Innis and Constable. I spoke to someone at Innis. Dave called the constable and completely engaged me. When I spoke to the person at Innis, you know, very polite, and said she would pass the message along. Nothing changed. And we were at one point inside the house. It was a beautiful, cool night, windows open, and we could, you know, recorded the sound. And it was quite loud. And not unlike what Zorian presented to you a few weeks ago. So the question, I know that you can't respond. The question is, was this a permitted use? Was this a use that the town allowed in advance of the event? And then if it was, why the blatant disregard for the residents? And the question to the owners of Innis too. And then the next question is what penalties or fines have been incurred by Innis as a result? And moving forward, how can this type of thing be mitigated and avoided?
Just make sure there's nobody. Okay, so now we have town board member time. Does any member of the board wish to bring up any topics or address? I will be talking a little bit about code enforcement capability in the discussion portion of the meeting. And the way to understand what permitted uses are would be through the site plan approval for Innis. And I've been in contact with the code enforcement office to understand what is in that, but there are currently, I don't believe there's a way to issue fines for allowed wetting based on their site plan. But we are working to understand what the scope of a lot of the events, especially in that area, are. And I'll be talking a little bit about what we're thinking about doing with the code enforcement office to have more staffing and ability to check on things in the discussion portion of the meeting.
If that's item 14. Is that like?
Yeah.
Rules correctly?
Let's see. Yes, very good. The code enforcement positions. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, and it's also something that I'm going to be checking in with our attorney about, but when that came up, our attorney was away on vacation. And, so we do have some questions about some similar questions. Okay, so now we are moving on to the, resolution portion of the meeting. We are resolution light this week. One thing I'd like to say is we do have a quorum, but there's only 3 of us present. And in order for any resolution to pass, it has to be a majority of the seated board. So if we are voting on something and we all vote on it, it passes. If 2 of us are voting on it, then it fails. We're for it, and 1 of us abstains or votes no, it fails. So I just wanted to say that so that we understand, because I know I wasn't, until I verified that with Mary Lou, I wasn't clear that that was across the board for all resolutions. So if someone votes no on something and I say that it fails, that's why, because we're just following that. Okay, so the first item is action on the minutes. So I'd like to make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the minutes of the June 6th, 2024 regular business meeting, the June 13th, 2024 workshop meeting, and the June 27th, 2024 audit meeting as presented. 1 second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. So our next resolution is acceptance of the donation. I have 1 donation for that. So I'd like to make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board accepts donations of $130.56 from St. Pauli Textile. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay, then we have appointment of a highway employee. So
On the request, let's see, so I'd like to make a motion, that on the request of Highway Superintendent Jeff Fry, the Town of Rochester Town Board appoints Jacob Berger to the position of HMEO, at $27.01 per hour, effective July 22nd, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. And just the way highway and town clerk appointments are is that they are the appointment of that elected official, as long as we have the position funded, which we do, but we like to memorialize them with a resolution. Okay. Item F is parking tickets. So I guess you can do a motion and a second, and then you can do some discussion on that, just so I can let you guys know why this is on the agenda again. So I'd like to make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the parking violation tickets as amended and presented.
Second.
Okay, so we did accept these with a condition 2 weeks ago, and that was to have them be accepted by the justices, but then it turns out that they can't really comment on them. So there are some changes though of this parking violation from the version that was accepted by the town board. So the court does not accept checks. So I removed that you could bring payment in full by check. So it just says by money order. I found a typo. So I added the word "you" in the section if you wish to plead not guilty. And then I was also in reviewing the operations of the court. They do not set trial dates, they set court dates. So that old version said the date of your trial, and I said the time and date of your court date, because you can meet with a special prosecutor. And those were the two changes that I made since that version. And that was just, the justices couldn't approve them, but what we did was we talked about some of the court operations to make sure that this matched. Did you have something you wanted to say, Mary Lou? Okay. So any discussion or questions from the board? Okay. So call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Great. I will have these printed. Very excited. This has been literally, I've been working on these for 2 months. My first day in office, I started working on this. Okay. We tabled the budget modifications because I do think that I will be bringing a highway budget modification to the workshop meeting, but because of what I discovered with the QuickBooks update, I wasn't able to prepare that based on our vouchers that we just approved. So our next item, I put this under resolutions because I probably should have put it under discussion, but it's under resolutions. So I have a bid for the Justice Court Conference Room renovation. We received a JCAP grant to help fund this. And this is one of the things that was in process with, with the former supervisor and has sort of, I wasn't able to really pick this back up until the past few weeks. We will be applying for an extension because technically, this has, the due date has passed, but,
This happened the
we-
last time.
this
We got
happened the
an
last
extension.
time and, preliminarily, this, the extension, will in all likelihood be granted. And, the recommendation from JCAP is to do it for the end of the year, so for December. So, I thought if you guys wanted to look at this and look at the dates specifically, I submitted this draft to you 2 days ago. I wanted to let you know 2 changes are in the print version that you see before you. So, in the beginning part, I added a note that says bid package. The bid package can be obtained from the town clerk. And then it says it has the bid due date, but then the town clerk's information is listed on that page.
Yeah.
So I added that. And then, I think that's the only thing I added because the other thing, Mary Lou wanted to make sure that the non-inclusion affidavit is annexed to the bid package. And it will be, there is a statement in this that says that an affidavit of non-inclusion is attached and forms part of this bid. Failure to sign this statement will constitute grounds for rejection of the bid. So that will be when that's a standard form, and that's part of this bid when we. So I just thought we could go through it and look at the dates. I was very conservative with the dates because I hadn't heard about what the extension situation was going to be. So I kind of put it on a little bit of a tight deadline. It's not a huge project. So, I think in terms of my considerations would be did I make the timelines too tight to get some quality bids? So are we boxing ourselves in? And do we want to create a little wiggle room there? And then I gave 2 months for the contract. So just, does that feel like enough time?
July 31st.
Do you want to do November 3rd? That would round out to 10 weeks for a completion date. Or do you mean for the bids?
So I guess first
Or all.
is, publishing the RFB.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I need to make that be on Monday when Kate gets done. Okay, so we need to do that. Just because I don't want to say it's going to be published tomorrow. So we need to change the RFP being published to July 8th. Then I gave until, so that gives us 11 days for anyone to submit questions or clarification.
Can I just interrupt for a minute?
Yeah,
Is the date that Kate comes back the 8th?
yes.
I was gonna say she has to send it too, so it's probably.
She has to, right, get that to the paper, so it wouldn't be published on the 8th.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Right.
It'd be 10th, right? It's 2 days, she says normally.
You have to give her a few days to get it.
One of them is 2 days and one of them is 3 days that she needs. But that's from Thursdays.
Well, the Freeman that one comes out the most frequently, right?
Yeah, Freeman's daily, so I think that one's the like 2 days.
So I guess we should give it for Friday of that week.
Yeah, why don't we just move all of those? Oh, since you're.
Move everything back 1 week, right?
Yeah, move everything back,
Yeah,
so that we can just go down the line through August.
so July
12,
12.
yeah.
and then July 26th.
30, yeah. I can't do that.
That's impressive.
And then so basically the questions get submitted by the 26th, but then I post the answers and I was giving myself 4 days for that. So that doesn't have to be, that's me. That's me posting the answers to the questions that were submitted. So we don't have to give a week for that. So, I mean, we could, but that would put us at August 2nd for that. So,
I think you should be respectful of your time.
Yeah.
What you have on
okay, so
If they
August,
said December,
yeah. And then, so then the bid deadline, we want to give. So they'll get the answers on that Friday and then the bid deadline. So we'd like to generally, if we made it like the 7th, then we could look at them on the 8th.
Yeah.
And then the bid opening just means that if the deadline is, are you guys okay with 24 hours to look at those ahead of the workshop meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
no, I think that's okay, yeah, sorry. I don't think, it's not that intensive of a project that I feel like I'm
No.
gonna have to like comb through it, like we're moving a wall
Yeah.
and
So-
adding some more.
The only issue that I had a lot of trouble with the dates.
Yeah.
Is it's possible that we would make a decision on the 8th, but I don't want to necessarily lock us in. This doesn't really lock us in, but we don't have a meeting for 3 weeks because August is long.
Well, I think how you wrote it, I think no later than August 29th, because then we can approve it the 8th if we want to, but if not, then it would go to our next meeting, the 29th, that we'd have to vote on it.
Well, that would be the contract.
Oh, decision, oh, I see, yeah, I'm going ahead.
So it would be like, us deciding on the contractor, but then we would be, and offering a contract, but then it's the approval, like the signing of the contract.
Is it typically that long?
No, but because of our meeting schedule, I put it like that because, we have 3 weeks between meetings and that has to be a resolution.
So why don't we change it to no later than August 29th for that one, so then if we want to approve it the 8th, we can.
So anticipated decision would be on the 8th.
I would say 8th or 29th, maybe, can we say it that way, like anticipated decision?
Then I think
on-
the anticipated approval of contract, we just need to shift a week.
Yeah, that's what, and then
Okay.
just shift the rest a week. But yeah, do that one as, on 8th or 29th. Because then if we approve it on the 8th, great, and we speed up the timeline, but if we have questions or any other board members want some more time to think about it, then. And that doesn't still push us crazy far.
And then anticipated approval of contract would be September 5th. Anticipated notice to proceed.
You might be getting a little.
Yeah, can we do it the sixth the next day? Cause that was how you had it.
I
before.
think so. That's my understanding. That would be when the contract is signed by both parties.
Yeah, cause that would be a Friday is the sixth, and then if they wanted to, then they could start on Monday if they so chose.
Is that, Mary Lou, I haven't been through this process before and I'm going off of a template. So,
And remember, these are all anticipated. You don't even have to
Okay.
put dates in, but it's a
Okay.
good idea. So when people are putting out their bids, they know what else they have
okay.
on
so
their
we'll just put-
schedule.
We'll put September sixth then, and then, so that puts us to, we're saying, okay, you got it, contract is signed. You can do the work. Here's the thing that I'm thinking about is we have the courthouse is a poll site. And this is in the poll site.
Oh,
So that is why I selected October 31st. But
Fair, I mean, that's still, it's 8, wait, 1.
it's possible that we could,
Why don't you do November 1st, which is the Friday of that week?
Yeah.
To finish out that week, and then that's 8 weeks. 8 full weeks that they could work.
and then
after we
election
approve it.
day is
If
the
we
5th,
don't
right?
approve.
it's the 5th. Yep.
Okay. So that makes the contract, should we say, it says the term of the resulting contract shall be in effect for a term of 2 months. So are we, I guess we keep it like that in case it gets,
And you have a
Push.
typo in there. You have 4 as the word. And
oh
2
yeah,
as the
sorry,
word.
I changed that. That was the other
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
So it did say 4 and then 2, but I was trying to update it to 2. But do we want to say 8 weeks or do we want to say, my question is if we approve the contract before, then they could get started sooner, but we're saying the contract term is 2 months, so that would put us at an earlier approval date or earlier completion date.
I mean, or,
I think that, I think we can leave it as 2 months
Okay.
upon signature. I think that that's fine. I'm fine with that. Cause even if they try to interpret that like slightly,
So that would
maybe 2 days, like the.
September 6th.
I mean. like you
Yeah,
said,
that's exactly 2 months if they sign it on September 6th. If we got it sooner than that, then the completion date would be before November 1st. Yeah, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
This is worst case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, and I think that it's not that large of an area that if need be, it's not completed for some other work, we know how the bathrooms went, and the extensions on those, which, that will not happen here. But it's a small enough area that's being worked on that it's not gonna stop the court from operating normally while they're working in there, so why would it stop us clearing the room for a polling section, for a poll station? Worst case scenario, is what I'm saying, is what I'm thinking. Cause with the court's still operating while they're doing. Not, I mean, obviously not
Yes.
while they're in there with saws and stuff, but the
Right.
court will still be there while it's still being worked on.
Right,
And like a demo, or, open
Right.
area that's supported off.
I
right.
mean, would it be unnecessary to put language in the contract that if it's not done by the completion date, that it's open to the public for polling, so they're responsible for cleaning up the areas so that people can come in? I mean, at least for that time period, or is that just getting ahead of yourself and not necessary?
What do you think, Mary Lou? Would that be something
You know-
to an extension?
Yeah, I don't think that's something we have to put in this, but if it is gonna overrun the date, then we can do that even by letter agreement.
Okay,
Well, we can put that in the actual contract too, if we wanted to, like an extension. Once we picked someone, if they thought that they needed more time. If we
Right.
talked to any
Right.
person. Right, Mary, yeah, we can always put that as like an extension of
Yeah.
it, potential
Yep,
extension.
the contract's gonna be, prepared after we uh, award the bid.
I think that I think that I'm confident with these then.
okay, so we're changing. The bids must be emailed or dropped off in person by, um, 3 p.m. I just make sure my days of the week are correct. We changed it to August 7th.
Yeah.
So that's a Wednesday. Same. Bids will be opened on August 7th. Okay, then we changed the request of clarification would be emailed by July 26th. I just want to make sure. And then the project is, there is, I feel pretty comfortable about, I just want to review that this is okay, is my first bid. So I just wanted to review like the whole thing, you guys are okay with that, because the project itself is, there is a room in the courthouse that's used as a conference room, but it's very small. So what is, oh, I just realized. So the expectations is that it'll be, the town of Rochester is seeking a fully designed and constructed conference room expansion and renovation from the current room to a larger soundproofed conference room. Overall size 10 foot 4 inches by 8 feet. So what I listed out in the preliminary scope, to include but not limited to, so that kind of, if a contractor's like, you gotta include this, that, would be, they would do the design, the construction drawings. They need to, and this is where I was getting myself turned around. They'll need to demolish the 2 interior walls. So that's like inside of the courtroom. So, and then they'll have to also remove the ceiling tiles of that area.
Oh, for the soundproof.
And then, they'll need to, we're asking that they haul away the debris and then install new lighting per code in the new space. And then they'll need to move those walls out, frame new interior walls, and then that is inclusive of insulation, soundproofing, sheetrock, and painting. So those are the interior to the courtroom. And then install like new flooring as determined. And then we want all the electric to meet code. Then we want it to, new paint and trim and new fixtures for the conference room. And then we want the exterior of the room walls to match the existing courtroom, because it's gonna be totally new walls that are being put up. And then making the aesthetic complement. So that's the interior of the new conference room. We want to complement the courthouse, and then we want the exterior of those interior walls to match the courtroom.
Yeah.
Does this seem?
The only thing I'm seeing that might be worth putting in is, I mean, it seems like common sense, but, you know, definitely installing. And I know it says the soundproofing should not be, but you never mentioned, the new ceiling part of it. Like you said, they're removing the ceiling, and then
Yeah,
also with the new electrical to meet code, maybe just include like responsible for enclosing any wiring or, you know, just clean it up a little bit. It might be too much.
Yeah, I think I get your point about like we haven't them demolish the ceiling, but we don't say anything about it. Ceiling, so
Yeah.
maybe frame new interior walls and ceiling inclusive, just add and ceiling after walls.
yeah,
To the
and
frame.
my other thing is, as a non-contractor, I don't know if the ceiling needs to be removed. I might wanna say demolition or removing a ceiling in the room area as determined required.
Yeah, I don't remember, is it drop ceiling like in here in the courthouse, do you remember, where it's like the tiles
It's
that
this.
click in, it's drop ceiling?
Yeah.
It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have to, like, there's ways to like we're trying to soundproof this like it's like an interrogation room, or are we trying to like soundproof it so that if someone's in there having a meeting, you can't hear it out?
Yeah,
You know, like how
Exactly.
extensive.
They want a lawyer, a counsel,
Someone who's
and
out, if someone's outside the room to not hear someone
Yes,
speaking.
right.
I don't think the ceiling is, I think we can strike the demolition of the ceiling.
Yeah.
From that, speaking as someone who's grown up on construction sites, I don't see that, like, we can leave it as an option, like, if
yeah,
someone says we need to do that for the soundproofing that comes in.
Maybe add, when it says frame new interior walls inclusive insulation, soundproofing, sheetrock paint, maybe add ceiling there so that it's not necessarily that they're removing the existing, but it's figuring out what needs to be applied.
Oh, yeah, for
Right.
insulating and soundproofing it, then yeah, I think, yeah, we do frame new interior walls, and then if we put and ceiling. And then we can take away the demolition of.
we could. So one thing that I was thinking is we could say, because we have it as determined required, we could say demolition and removing a ceiling as determined required? Or do you feel like that?
What if we just say soundproofing of ceiling as determined required? Cause then if they have to remove it to soundproof it, they will. If they don't, it stays. So just soundproofing, because other than that, there's no reason to remove just solely for the soundproofing.
Right, yeah, I mean, the lighting might mean that they need to remove some of it.
Yeah, so it's like potential, so. Chrissy? I bet it's me, when something fell in my car, it has like a motion sensor inside, so you don't lock your door. Get in there.
Okay, so we're gonna. Safety features.
Actually, like a giant like moth was in there one day and it kept going off and I was like when I was in the pantry. And the baby wouldn't say it was with me too.
So we should.
I would remove demolition and removal ceiling.
Yeah, so we're moving that and then. We wanna say, so we have install new lighting in the ceiling for code. We wanted to add something about, soundproof. Ceiling. As determined required.
Yeah.
And, deal with it. I don't know.
Deal with this. Let us know.
But like, we wanna say
Include.
inclusive of,
Lighting the code, is that what you're?
no, I was gonna say inclusive of, replacement of ceiling tiles as needed. I don't know. I guess we're trying to say, what we're trying to say is like, if you need to demolish the ceiling for this, go
How
for
about we
it, but if
just-
you don't,
How about we just say renovation of ceiling, renovation, soundproofing, and installation of new lighting in the ceiling per code and as required. Installation of soundproofing and lighting. And required. New lighting. Actually, we don't need to say new lighting. Well, we have a new electric should meet code. Oh, yeah, so
we-
then we don't have to say the meat code then, if we have that as lighting.
So we're gonna remove demolition and removal of ceiling, and after demolition, haul away the debris. We're gonna strike install new lighting in the ceiling code and replace it with renovation and installation of soundproofing and new lighting as determined required.
In ceiling. Right, we don't say
In
ceiling.
ceiling, yes, sorry.
I was just like, wait, did I not say ceiling before?
And then do we throw ceiling into the interior aesthetic should complement existing courthouse? Interior wall should match the courtroom.
Interior walls and ceiling should match the courtroom interior.
Okay.
And then I just noticed it says new electrical to meet code. Is that fine or?
Should it be as?
Or, oh, it just isn't a complete sentence. I just,
New electrical work.
we don't have our,
New electrical work. Yeah, we don't
our,
have- we don't have Michael
editor here
We
to,
don't have our proofreader. New electrical work.
new electric.
Electrical work as needed to meet code.
I think what we're trying to say is any electric work that happens needs to meet code.
Oh, so then just put electrical work to meet code. Or just put electric. Get rid of the all and the new. Just electric to meet code for the conference room.
Okay. Okay, so what we have then is,
Actually, can we take just electric to meet code out of conference room? Because if they take down that wall and it's something that goes to another part of the courthouse, like they have to like close the line or whatever, like they can be safe, so
yeah,
just.
Okay.
Can't you put in there all work to meet code? You don't want just the electric meeting.
Oh,
code, you
yeah,
want
that's
everything.
true. That is true. Maybe we should just move that to the end.
All work to be
All
done to
final-
code,
All final work. Yeah,
All work
should
to
done
be-
code.
done to code.
Not should, has to.
all work to be done to code. Okay. And you want that to be
At
the
the end,
last?
yeah, the last one. And then I have one other edit in here.
Okay,
The part where it said paint, install trim, and new fixtures, those two bullet points that both start with paint and then install trim. I would like them to say install trim and then paint, based off of what happened with the last contractor who didn't paint or fill the holes of the nail holes on all the framing, so that they don't think they don't have to paint them. It's a thing of technicality on
But-
there, but.
I guess in this case, you would wanna paint the wall and then put trim on top of it.
It depends on their process. You can
But-
do it either way.
But
You
you
can
are
paint the
talking
trim
about.
first. I just want to make sure the trim is painted this time and that we're not staring at unfinished wood with nail holes.
So we can say this differently.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it as you paint a wall and then you put the trim on top of it, not but I hear what you're
You
saying.
should paint the trim before you screw it into the wall is normally the
Exactly.
process to
So,
see
yeah.
work, but I
So-
just wanna make sure that the trim is painted. Is all I can.
Yeah,
so-
so we are
Um,
asking them to, this work to include the,
I think we can just take paint from there and then just make a bullet point that says. All walls, framing and molding must be painted to match the same aesthetics of the courtroom.
Yeah, if you remove the paint and just do install trim and new pictures for the interior of the conference room. And then.
well, we do have frame new interior walls inclusive of insulation, soundproofing, sheetrock, paint.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
we can strike paint from that and just have one about trim and fixtures and one about paint. Is that what you did, saying?
Hold on, sorry, let me read this. Yeah, cause it already has paint, actually,
The walls are getting painted.
yeah, leave it, cause the wall's already getting painted in that
So we're
one. I
saying
was
we want
reading
the-
it as this was saying separate, cause no, that it is in the right order, it's saying
Yeah.
paint, then install the trim after
Yes.
you painted it. No, now it's in the right order, yes,
Yeah.
it's the other, I wasn't reading. That the walls were already painted first, I thought the paint wasn't applying the walls.
Right.
Maybe we just say paint,
you could say,
no, it's clear, I was just,
So yeah, we're saying the wall installation, the walls will get painted and then there'll be trim and fixtures added.
yeah, no, I think it reads right. I was reading it as if that was saying paint the walls, but it's saying paint, install the trim and the new fixtures.
well, and then you say twice here that it needs to match the rest of the courtroom, so it's like.
Yeah, I'm confident that, I was just wondering if that was what the confusion that
Oh,
happened with the
we-
justice quarters, what is why
Yeah.
they didn't get paid. I was like, is this why they didn't get painted? Like, cause it didn't say specifically the trim, but how it's written, it does.
And so this is
Fair.
saying, and this is what I made the two aesthetic ones because one, I'm
Yeah.
saying we want that walls that are
Yes.
in the courtroom to match the courtroom, but the conference room can just be complimentary. It doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the
Aesthetic.
same like wood panel,
Yeah.
wood panel around the room.
Yes.
In there.
Okay.
Since Renee's relative probably built it 200 years ago, so.
Okay, and then I actually did use the bathroom as the template. So I'm just trying to make sure that there's nothing, I tried to remove everything about plumbing. And I
I
believe,
was like, this is it, this is what the confusion.
no, this was in there. It was in there. Okay, I just want to
I
make
think
sure,
everything else,
I didn't find, I don't think there's anything else about plumbing. Just want to make sure. Okay, great.
no, I think that this looks good, Erin, I read it through it.
Okay, so we have those edits, with that,
However Mary Louise words it. I
I
really.
Why don't we have a motion to request that the town clerk advertise for bids as presented and amended? Or whatever this,
I make that motion as presented, stated by Mary.
I said that.
okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained.
I was gonna say, Erin, if you need any help with the extension paperwork later, and you can just let me know, I'm happy to help with any of it for the grant.
Oh, the engineers prepared it for me.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool.
I just have to.
I was
send
gonna
it.
say there was another thing on your list. I'm happy to.
I had to edit it because they said, we expect the bridge to close this summer, and I had to edit that to say, the bridge closed.
What do you meant?
Oh, no, I meant JCAP. I meant for this one,
Oh,
for the extension. for
I
this one.
see what you're saying. I actually think, Elaine is going to.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I know that
but-
they tend to be the point person.
Yes,
with
but
them
yes, thank
normally,
you. I will make a note of that.
but I lost the picture.
Okay, so we are on to discussion. Okay. So I'd like to actually suggest that we take the first discussion item and have that be last, so that we're building our agenda last. I put B on as a discussion item because I didn't know if we were going to get any quotes from the, it should be, I put RFP, but it was a written request for quotes. I did not receive any written requests for quotes. However, I am anticipating that we will, so I think I printed this out for you guys today. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to edit the dates and request,
Republish.
re-quote it.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
So we had it for today at 5.
When did this originally go out?
We originally put this out on, we gave it like 3 weeks.
Would extending it to the months?
It just has to be done by the end.
It has to be done while it's hot.
So I don't think 2 weeks is the end.
Basically, I think we just have to make a decision by our. We could put it at the July audit.
That we vote on it then, like,
Yeah.
review them and vote on it.
So we could put it that the quotes are due by the 23rd to give us 2 days. Or we could do it by the 24th. I'm expecting to get a quote on Monday. But that's not, I don't wanna, that's not enough time to like try to get more quotes, I guess.
Would it be too soon for the workshop meeting?
I think so, because our workshop meeting is the 11th. And I guess,
Cause I mean, the only other concern is even if we approve it, they may not be able to schedule it.
right,
Yeah, what is? What if we extend the bids to the end of next week? To submit, right? Cause wait, do we have to, are we just extending when they do these, or do we have to
so we have
publish all?
a meeting tonight, then we have our meeting on the 11th. And then we have an audit meeting on the 25th. So I guess I was just thinking we could extend the deadline so that we'd be making the decision on the 25th. The only thing that I'm concerned about is one of the reasons why we did this is because I don't know how much it's gonna cost. And if it's more than I think it's $30,000 for public works projects, then we have to do a bid. So we decided to do this because we thought it'd be faster. I heard back from a couple companies that don't do prevailing wage. And so we posted it, and then I went through a bunch of roofing companies and submitted the written request directly with them. Just like did a search and
So you're saying you want to extend it till next Tuesday,
I guess I was thinking that if we want to be fair and try to get 3 quotes, we would need more than next week, that we would need to be making the decision on the 25th. The issue is that if the quotes come back higher than we thought, then we actually have to go out to bid.
I think giving him until next week, since it's already been out there, is plenty. I
Yeah,
don't, but
I think
You,
next.
you, you can't just extend the time. You have to request.
Okay, that's what I thought, that we have to redo the full request, so no one met this. No one came by 5 o'clock tonight,
No,
so we have to redo it.
yeah, so we just need to
Right.
do a new date and then
Send
put
out
it
the
on.
same thing with the new date.
But we can't do this till Monday when Kate's back. Or you can send this out, Kristen? Is that, who sends them out?
The quote, I'm not sure what the rules are for written quotes.
Who
I-
sent out the request last time?
Kate did.
Okay.
I think we put it in one paper, but I don't know that we're required to. It's just,
Right.
because it's not a
Oh,
bid.
yeah, we chose to, didn't we? I think you
Yes.
said to put it in the paper last time, okay. Yeah, I'm fine if we wanna, I do it for. Not for one more week to redo it for a week so that we can,
For a week,
yeah.
and we won't put it in the paper.
Correct.
We'll post it
We'll post
on our
it.
website.
Cause I think we approved this, that, as Alana called it, epic meeting we had. The one night that we were here after we did interviews, the really late meeting, cause I know like 4 root company guys, and I meant to try to push this around their world to be like, hey, have someone bid on this for us, so, I can do that tomorrow, actually, so.
So let's do it for the 10th at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Is that right, Mary Lou, that we don't have to put this in the paper? if
That's
it's-
correct. Yeah.
We can submit this written
Thing
request to anybody.
Yeah,
okay.
yes, that's what I'm gonna do.
So what I did was I did a search and I looked on websites for anyone that does flat roofs, which is this style. And then I submitted this. And I heard back from a few companies that don't do prevailing wage. And then the one company was able to come, anyone can arrange with me to come look. And so we did have someone, but they weren't able to get us a quote by today, they said.
Yeah, so at the very least, we will hopefully have at least one quote, but if not, hopefully we'll have one
Yeah.
back by the 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make sure. Can you send me with the updated dates and times, Aaron, tomorrow
Yeah.
when you do it, so that I can forward it around?
So then the highway roof request for quotes, it's as I presented to you tonight with the amendment that it's based on the following criteria on or before July 10th, 2024 at 3 p.m.
I make a motion.
Yes,
I make a motion to
to publish
to publish as presented and amended,
the request
the request for quotes
for the highway.
for the highway garage roof.
So, Charlotte made the motion, Renee seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. Okay. So, our next item, C, zoning map finalization plan. And, so bad news is the person that does the mapping, who has been generating the maps, was on vacation. So we made this decision to do the letters and we wanted to like do all these decisions tonight. He was on vacation starting last week and through the end of this week. So I don't know who else to have make the map for us, but Mary Lou let me know that it is the map, it's not the data.
It's the
It's the map.
actual picture, so.
So we need that in order to schedule a public hearing. So we don't have that in front of us. And I don't know when I will be able to get that. So I guess I wanted to just have a discussion about timeline and thinking about, we wanted to have information sessions, we want to do this mailing. The options, I spoke with Kate and she agreed that if possible, we could send letters saying, here's, I submitted the letter for you that I'm hoping we can look at together. We'll send a letter letting people know, anyone that was affected originally by this will get a letter saying, this is what you were proposed to change to, this is your current zoning, this is what was proposed, and this is what's in the new proposal. So some people, it'll be like, you are like R1, we propose that you change to R2, and you, in the new proposal, you're staying R1. But for some people, there will be a change. Yeah, great. So we wanted to do that. And also in the letter, we wanted to invite people to the information session. And when I talked to Kate, she said if possible, it would be best to also have the public hearing in that same mailing, if we made those decisions all at once. It just is a post, you know, it's just postage. So it's possible that we could have that map by our workshop meeting. I don't know how long it takes for those maps to get generated.
I think we should wait to schedule till we know, at least have an idea when we'll get the map.
Okay.
When he's back.
And
at the beginning. of
If
the
he's
week,
like,
we
it's
can
gonna be in
get
2
an
weeks,
idea.
then what I wanna do is schedule the info sessions
Yeah.
and get the
And then we
mailing out.
start there.
And then we'll just do the public hearing notice.
Yeah.
We'll just have to do it as a second mailing.
I think that's fine, yeah. I think we should.
Okay.
Yeah, we wait
Yeah,
to
I
see
think
where
you
we're.
could just edit it, if it comes to that, you know, please be advised for future mailing of the public hearing.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
add a note on that.
Yeah. I know when I want the public hearing to be, but,
But yeah, until we know. for
we
sure
can't
have
schedule it until we actually have the draft, which is the
Totally
map.
get it. That's fine. So
Um,
that's going on the workshop.
So that will go, those decisions, but I thought we could look at the letter.
Oh, yeah, we can look at the letter, yeah, I know.
Not much, the only thing that's gonna change in the letter is gonna be the dates. So let me make,
Oh, wait, Renee, did you make a John?
Yes.
For this letter?
CI.
CI.
Is it just like your?
our, yeah, it's first letter, yeah.
RC.
Okay.
But we could make it. I mean, we could possibly make a motion that if the maps aren't ready by the workshop meeting, then we use it up. Right, like, you could put it on the agenda for the workshop. meeting.
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
If the maps, depending on how long it takes for the maps, we want to schedule, I wanna schedule the public information sessions and get the mailing out by Friday of
Okay.
next week. I wanted to do it this week, but without knowing when we'll have that, it's really hard to. So, if we have the map ahead of the meeting so that the board can see it, then what I would ideally like to do is schedule the public hearing and the info sessions at the same time. So that I think we would, yeah, I want us to do the notice. The other thing that I spoke with Mary Lou about is what I would like to do is post the SBL spreadsheet so that the public has access to the database. we don't want there to be personal, like, there won't be names, it'll just be. Okay, so. Okay. So. The letter, did you guys, have any?
No, I think the.
I mean, right away, I know I have some comma slices in the second sentence, so. That's, that should probably be 2 sentences, but.
No, I think it's direct to the point and informative. And
I was trying to strike a tone of like acknowledging that, you know.
well, that was my question, and because I'm very new to this, is this like typical language, or can you make it a little warmer? You know what I mean? Like, we heard you showed up, we spoke about it, we heard you. I mean, that's not what I would say, but do you? or
One
does it
thing
have
I
to
was
be-
thinking, what I wanted to ask is if we could add something like, because the other thing I did, I took the liberty is signing the whole town board, instead of it being from me. So one thing I thought of is adding a sentence of, like, we want to thank, I don't know if thank, but like, we appreciate the amount of feedback we've gotten and the amount of public participation we've had during this process. And like, I thought about adding a statement about acknowledging that, but.
I think it's a statement saying that you value the input of the community and residents to allow the town board to make decisions appropriately, or, you know, it's a value of their input.
Right.
No, I think that would be good. I didn't know if that wasn't something, if like this is short solved with, you know.
I mean, I guess Mary Lou could advise us. I think typically this is not a notice. So like,
We don't have to send this.
this is not a requirement. It's actually not even required that we send notice to property owners
Right.
individually.
Well, then I think it is appropriate to have the message behind it not be, we made more changes, here are the dates for you to comment on them. It is more that we really value the input of the residents and tried to make the changes appropriate for them. Just,
Can I make, I do like what Renee's saying, like we value your opinion, and like almost like I wonder if at the beginning of the letter, instead of like this letter serves to update you on the progress, maybe it's
How about you just start the letter with, we'd like to thank the property owners for their valuable information and participation in this
thank you for your
process, and we
participation.
would, and we want to give you an update of where we are.
I would be willing to take that first paragraph and edit it for you, and then propose it at the next meeting, like keep all of the structure of it, and then maybe just switch up the introduction a little, just so we don't have to go back and forth of getting the right language. And then at the workshop meeting, we can discuss it with, if we have the maps.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I think if it's of the tone that we're talking about, where, because I actually started this letter by, we'd like to thank you, like, I actually started this and I was like, this is something that I want the board to like work on,
Yeah.
but that's also one of the reasons why I was signing everyone's name, is I wanted it to come from.
Yeah, no, I do like it coming with a softer hand after the last letters that were sent that we had no input on, even though our names weren't signed to them. I still didn't appreciate the tone of the letter that went around to everyone from this process, the rest of the board was included in under a previous administration, not our new administration. But yeah, I like the idea of like having a little more like, even if it's just like, you know, we hope this letter finds you well. We wanna update you, like. I think instead of, like, we can say the town board a couple of times, but I think if we say we will, makes it a little more personable to like us, like, we wanna invite you to come and make comment. Kind of like, we welcome your comment is kind of what, like, I wanna say, like, we want your feedback on what the final proposal, and then the only thing I will say, other than like, maybe like adding the thank you language that you originally had from Aaron at the beginning, is when we go into the current proposal part of the letter.
Yeah,
Can we do SBL and then do current zoning? What their current zoning is?
Oh,
their
I meant to-
SBL,
you're right.
And then their current
Current.
zoning, and then it says
That's
original
what I-
proposed change, and then put the date that we published that
Yes.
first map, and then put current proposed change, and we'll put the date
current,
of what we are
or,
gonna
yeah, current
see, the
zoning.
newest map, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, can I color code this? But then our color print, it's 5 cents.
Yeah, no, I think that if we just put the date next to it, like I would put like proposed change from first
from-
letters dated blah, 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 and then.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I wasn't sure what date to use. We had a public hearing on 11:30, and then that was the original notice.
I think you should do from the original notice and then the date of the first letters that went out. And then you put current proposed changes as of today's, the date that we send this notice out. For what the change that we're proposing is that they'll come to make comment on when we schedule the public hearing. Like we do it by the notice, because there's been so many dates for between public comment and public hearings and the info sessions.
Yeah,
And
so what are,
There was then there was the letters about the info session, so I would just say in the original letter, because then most people probably still have their letter. Mostly based off their anger, I know they probably still have their letter, as proof to, so then they can go, okay, it's this one, they're saying, yep, that's what was on my letter, it was supposed to be PL10, and now I'm going back to R2 or whatever it is, like, so that they can reference, that's where
Yeah,
they can reference
the-
what the change was originally.
Local law 13 had its public hearing. The date on the letters. Oh, I had the date for the input session.
I just don't, in terms of the date, I don't know if we should date it from the public hearing or the date of the original letters, because we also sent out a second round of letters. For the
That's why I'm
info
thinking
sessions.
the original letter of changes. The original notification of change letter that we sent. The original quarterly
me see if I have-
notification of change.
Let me see if I have that, because I know some people didn't receive those for 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
So I'm thinking, is it better to have the date of that letter or the date of the public hearing? Because the local law draft has the date of the public hearing in it, which is 11:30. The date of the original letter would have been like November 8th.
Yeah, I guess I
Like that.
only wanna put. Maybe we just put the year, because we didn't have any,
2020.
yeah, we do original proposed changes, 2023. Proposed draft map, and then we do current proposed changes, 2024 draft map. Or proposed map, whatever we have to call the map.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Mary about that too. Okay. You know what?
You
We're
can
coming
work,
back to it next
I was-
week anyway.
you can work on, you'll work on wordsmithing the intro based on what we said about wanting to acknowledge the the very important and public participation in this process. I can run this by some people that have been affected and see what they think about because that was part of the issue that we have, is like when we're trying to make stuff clear. We could run this by a couple people and see.
I mean, another thing you could do is in the background, do make sure the language matches, right? Like, so the background of it, you're currently well, we don't.
Oh, we could even do a table, you could even like maybe do a table instead so that it's clear, like that it's like
Yeah. The
all,
year.
like 2023. Current zoning, proposed change, and then 2024 current zoning, proposed change, so then they can see that they're still at
Yeah.
like you were R1 in 2023, we were proposed to be.
I could even put an
By-
arrow in.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, do like the arrow over, like this was the proposed change in 2023.
Yeah.
Proposed change now.
I'll have
you
to
know?
make sure I can do that with a, mail merge.
Okay, cool, but yeah, like something like that might be easier too,
Yeah.
but just some way to, it's just the formatting of it, just to make it clear that. it's
That
like, this
actually
is
might
what
be
you
good,
are,
because
this
some
is
people
what
have
you said.
multiple SPLs. So if we had a table, it might make it actually fit a little bit better
Yeah.
too.
And
Oh,
maybe-
yeah, cause then you can do by SPL.
And like you said, you have to check, but maybe it could be like,
Oh, yeah, you could, it's like a workflow, it's actually like, here's what you were, this is what we proposed in 2023, this is what we're now proposing today.
yeah,
Of the change, so it shows, cause then if people go
Reconsider.
back to the original, it's showing.
Reconsidered.
Yeah, reconsidered, yeah, there we go.
that's what it.
So
Because
some people are not going back to their original.
right,
Oh,
So,
so then no, maybe leave it as two, so it's just like 2023, what was proposed, their original, and then the proposed change, and then now what their original and new proposed change is for 2024. I think it'll be easier if we break it down by year of the map,
Okay.
because we haven't made any other edits that'll be published, right? We didn't update it. And republish it for this year,
no.
that you remember, right? The last one that we published.
The
that
last
was
thing that has
2023.
been officially published was local law 13 of 2024, and it is the map that is on E-code,
Yes.
the set of maps. So with, Mary Lou, with the changes that we don't have to answer. Will we be renaming this as a totally new law, or will we still be calling it local law 13 of 2023?
Well, when you actually file the law, it will be, local law, whatever number we're up to of
Right.
2024. You can keep it at the same name. You're just making amendments. It's a continuation.
Okay. But we will have to re-refer it because we made very
Yes.
significant.
Yeah, you're making significant changes. Yeah.
I think if you do the table, do the SBL, like you are,
Yes,
and then our original proposed change, and then our reconsidered proposed change.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, we'll see it. I think this all sounds good. It
Okay,
just needs like slight tweaking and then just mostly formatting and then a little words, I think.
Okay.
It'll be golden. Is there anything else on here that you want to look from Karen? Cause I think that it all sounded.
And you guys like the idea of having all of our names?
Yes, yeah, and I think the only other thing is like where it said copies of the new proposed local laws and maps are available at E-code 360.
So that will be, if we do that, then I'll have those. If we don't with this letter, then we'll delete that.
Okay, I was gonna say, I just wanna have the links like right to like the 2023, I'm just gonna call them the 2024 ones. For the 2023 and then like the 2024 one, so that they're clear on which one they're clicking on there, cause that was confusing to a lot of people who had made comment. And I know it's E-code 360, it's not us, but just so that if they want, like, go on our website. Like, or they can type in the HTML if they feel so.
Right,
You know.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so they can bring them right to the version they're supposed to look at, so it's not like they're going to, like, the current version, they're like, oh, I'm not changing, and they think nothing of it, and then they get changed, and
So
it's a huge thing.
can they access this link through the website?
If this like letter was like published on our website, I was saying, and then I realized we're mailing this as paper, but.
This link, you can get it to it from
Yeah,
our
from our
website, but
website.
there's not a link currently, there's not a link to draft legislation on that website. But I actually need to do that because I got that request at the info session.
It almost seems like you could just say available on our website and then have the two different links, like the.
Oh, yeah.
But
But yeah, we'll see what we have at that point.
Yeah, I think because I do wanna have the SPL available too. Which is
Yeah.
not part of this, but it's the data that we're using. So we could make a page where it has like the link, the direct links to the E-code site, and then we could do something like that.
Oh, yeah, and it's just like, here's the,
Okay, so I'm just gonna make this red.
I think for now though, how it is great with us looking at it next week.
Do we want to keep the list of zoning designations and descriptions? That was part of the original mailing. I actually I realized I didn't attach it to this letter, but it was from the old mailing where it just says, PL 10 is this and A3 is this. We can have, that's part of the code, so.
I think anyone who I felt strongly and like has made comment on this, like they know at this point what the different ones are, like we sent it to them, what, twice, 3 times? Cause we sent it in the other letters too. So they've gotten at least 3 copies of the breakdown, so I think that we could save some ink and trees and not do it for.
So that would be, we might then want to spell out the original form or the original mail merge would say like R2, and then there was like a R2 is.
Yeah.
So I
Oh, no,
think
but Mike did all of them, right? On the last letter, he just put all of the districts, not specific to the letter.
correct, yeah.
You're saying you wanna do it specifically to the ones that they
No,
have?
I was in the
or-
letter, it says a list of zoning designations and descriptions is made available on the back of this letter. That could be
Oh, yeah.
made available on the town website. I could delete that sentence and then spell out the zoning districts instead of having them be the shorthand in the current proposal section. I'm just thinking about how to do the data merge where,
Well, you know, we're gonna have info sessions on this. I think if they have a question, because I don't think that we've changed anyone's parcels that wasn't originally lettered, you know, that it, you know what I mean? I don't think we've changed one that this would be like, you know, out of left field thing for at this point. So I think that, me personally, if we don't put them on there, like, we're gonna do what, at least 2 info sessions, we said? So if people have like a question about like certain distinctions, like when people get into like their specific parcels where it's like, what can I do in R2 that I couldn't do in R5? Or, you know, about if we're changing them, I think that they can ask for those. Cause I don't think any of the changes that we now have in there are that drastic where it would be, like, we're not taking someone from Hamlet and making them PL 10. Where it's like an extreme difference in what's allowed in uses, like most of them are just making sense, like to connect and make sense with the rest of the areas on the map, so I think
Okay.
that.
so for now, I'm deleting that sentence.
Yeah, I think we can delete that for now. I'm open to hear Michael and Evelyn's opinions on it as well.
Well, we
but-
won't hear, we might not hear. If we want to send this out next week, it might be just us.
Put it all back to work.
No.
That was a joke, public. That was a joke.
Okay, so
Now we're
our
crazy.
plan is that this is gonna be, this will be on our workshop agenda to finalize once we know when we'll be able to publish the maps. Okay. And I took notes. Okay. Back to our agenda. Okay, so the Cohongson Ambulance Improvement District contract. I don't have any direct updates for this. I very recently got the contact information that what we discussed is that I would send the contract as a, like, do you have any input about this? And if there's none, my question is, do we wanna put this on our workshop agenda? If we do, we need to request that Mary Lou stay after the public hearings for that.
Wait for the update on. the
Like, if they're like,
contract?
no, we think the contract looks great,
Oh,
then
we need to talk to Mary Lou about.
about, are we extending the contract? We need to
Yeah,
just have
exactly,
the
the time.
conversation. There have been a lot of talking points about it, so are we going to backdate the contract to the beginning of the year? Are we going to, there's those types of things that we haven't discussed.
Yeah, we haven't touched on. it.
But we,
Talked about.
so I don't really, in terms of this being a discussion item, it was kind of more like this might be on our workshop agenda.
Okay, yeah. I think that's fair
Unless,
enough.
unless there's any,
I would like Councilman Coleman to be there when we have discussions about
I
it,
agree,
since he's the liaison to the
but he
ambulance.
won't be here. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
so we might have it, I might, depending on what comes of just sending a draft contract out and just kind of seeing where we're at in terms of like feedback. It could or couldn't be on the workshop. Just as a follow-up.
Yeah. And Mary Lou.
Mhm.
The rule that all of us have to unanimously agree is only when there's 3 of us, right? That majority rule kicks in. If there's 4, it could
Right,
be.
you
3 to 1.
always, right, you always
Oh, yeah,
need
that's majority, okay.
three affirmative votes for something to pass. If you're
A
overruling
majority
a
of
county,
3.
right, you need a majority of the total board. So if there's 3 of you, it's gotta be unanimous. If there's 4, you only need 3. If there's 5, you only need 3. There's certain instances where you need 4, but none of these things that are in front of you right now.
Okay. Thanks, Mary Lou.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so, I guess that's just, I'd like to get resolution on that as soon as possible. Code enforcement positions. This is kind of a little bit of a precursor to the F. But, I've been talking to the code enforcement office, and I kind of wanted to get some input about what direction to go in for the board. We have been waiting for some new positions from the county that we had requested to have more violation ability. So currently, the way civil service works is people are assigned to a position that's approved through civil service. The town has a position list of positions that's been approved. And we also fund positions that at our organizational meeting based on our budget that we set in October of the previous year. We have positions that are approved, but not necessarily funded. And then we also have like maybe positions that we might want to have, but the county has to approve them and then we have to fund them. So it's like this dynamic process. And we have now 2 employees that have are certified to do some code enforcement type activities, but are currently in their positions cannot do that because their position does not allow them to. So we had requested a position that would allow kind of a training type position that would allow the employee to like write violations under supervision. And that we just haven't, that was requested February, well, it wasn't until February, but it was February 8th, I think. But that's when the actual request was made. So I've checked in about it twice and I haven't heard anything. So right now that is like, okay, that's fine, because that would be like, we would sort of be shifting a current position into that position because there's a lot of overlap. We have our code enforcement officer is budgeted to work 28 hours a week. We have 2 fire and safety inspectors. We have a clerk that's assigned to the code enforcement office, and we have a zoning coordinator. The need that I see is to have staff that is scheduled on the weekends to do enforcement. And so the idea came up from the office, like, because I said, I don't know if we have any positions. We have 1 code enforcement officer, so we can't just like add more. We don't have, and then we have the fire safety inspectors, which it's my understanding, and it's the understanding of the code enforcement officer that they can't do code enforcement. So what we want is someone who can do, we just purchased a certified sound meter to do sound checks for those uses that have that. The catch is that, and this is sort of connected to the public comment, is like, that's only in our commercial events facility code. There's not like a sound, like there's no like your decibel level cannot be. Now in chapter 140-20, commercial standards, a new use has to be under a certain decibel level, but that's not a violation. There's not a violation associated with that. That's more about the site plan review and the planning board being able to put things into the site plan that would mitigate the noise. So if they didn't say you have to put a decibel controller on your speakers, there's nothing enforcing, even if they are over the decibel limit. It's not like there's a violation, because we don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if someone's just has loud music, but they're not a commercial events facility, which has you cannot go above this decibel at this property line, there's nothing in there for them to like issue a violation. Does that make sense? Yes. We're still trying to understand how all of this fits together, and need to talk to Mary Lou about some of that, but there could be some, more like conversationally like things that could happen, but there's like a limit to like what we could enforce. And but without, what I would like to do is really think about having someone who could write violations on the spot, because some of the site plan approvals and special use approvals can be very complicated. And there's some things in there that like measures must be taken immediately to rectify this. And I think having that be from a code enforcement official rather than what we can also have constables report back to the office, and then a violation notice could be written based on that. But there is, just in terms of like, and they've been effective. They can ask, could we need you to turn the music down because it's this, and that happens. But in terms of like the next, if it goes back up, if, that the violation wouldn't be able to be written until code enforcement officer can actually write the violation for some of the code stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not promoting, but it's encouraging, you know, do it first and ask for forgiveness later, you know, and I feel like by not being able to do something in the moment is not giving the confidence to our residents that we're taking it seriously. So I do agree that there should be somebody, but what would they be able to do because of the way it's written, there's no decibel, so like what, if we had somebody, what could they do?
I think that's like, I'm looking into that. I think what I've talked about with the office and, you know, it's possible, we're also working on having more staff in the constabulary. It's, what I'm thinking is if we had regular hours sort of like planned for both, there could be both, because there is traffic, you know, for the constables, they would definitely, there's like, when we have, traffic issues with really busy summer event schedules and things, and they could be on site, sometimes they'll have the meter and, but what I'm thinking of, a code official could have regular, like, we had, someone out at, one of the first concerts, they just were on the spot and they did all the sound checks, and I happen to know that there were no complaints about that event. There were complaints about other events happening in other places in town, but like that was very effective to do that and make sure that they were meeting.
Proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think also just like doing, you know, sort of the drive-by, kind of making sure, you know, kind of more like what they would do during the week if they were, but it would just be on the weekends, and we would kind of know, and then in terms of like, just public safety. Plus, you know, that's the idea, and that, you know, I discussed this with the code enforcement office, and we didn't, at the time, I was like, we have one code enforcement official, so I don't know how, if I can even make this a possibility. So we were talking about using, once we were more staffed with the constables, but then I looked at our position control list. And we have a municipal code officer. And
That was in our list already, act like available, cool.
that is on our list. It's not funded.
Yeah, but it's a fillable position as
Yes.
far as the county is concerned.
We also have a building inspector. So we currently, our building inspector and our code enforcement officer are the same position, and in our code, it like clarifies that can be the same position, but it doesn't have to be the same position. And actually in the revisions, we split them apart because it used to be code enforcement officer / building inspector. But we actually went through with this revision and split them apart so that if there are ever two people, there are things that a code enforcement officer does that a building inspector doesn't do, and vice versa. So that's also a position we have, and I think, so one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is I would like to investigate there's two things we can do. We can wait until we can appoint more constables, which we're a few weeks out from doing, because of the civil service list and the training, and just sort of like hope for the best. And then have more staff with more constables that we could schedule them for weekend hours to do some of this. That's gonna happen anyway, like the plan is for that to happen anyway. And then, so we could do that and just wait until budget season and budget and like think about the office and think about our ideal structure of the office and just like wait. Or we'll continue with the constabulary, getting more staff there. That's gonna happen. That's part of our plan. But in terms of this code enforcement piece, I could investigate this municipal code officer see if it is what I think it is, which I think you could have someone who has the ability to issue
That's how it
local
reads.
code violations. And fund that position and then just advertise it and fill it with someone who has the certifications and the training to write code violations. And maybe be able to do that like in a few weeks.
Yeah, because you could potentially fill that internally. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm here for it. Yeah, I think that those are our two departments that are understaffed the most. I know that we have several departments that can use more staff, but I think between constabulary and code enforcement, that's where our priorities
Yeah.
to lie on
Yeah.
getting some procedural and.
What do you need help with as far as investigating into it?
That I'm just gonna send that position to our HR consultant. We have an HR consultant named Michael Richardson, who is like a civil service expert. And I'm gonna ask him to advise on if I'm right on what that position could do. In terms of like the scope of that position. I have requested clarification as to whether that position is still on our list 3 times from the county, so that it's just, but then I have discussed this with the I believe that this type of position would be something that we could fill pretty. I know they say like code enforcement officers are, but I think I have to get clarification on what the minimum qualifications are, but I think we'd probably be able to find someone.
I think it's the building inspector side that adds the like differential of the 2 degrees, so I think that will
Yeah.
hopefully help. If it's just
Exactly.
the code
Mhm.
violations, it's the inspecting that I think that's the more.
Yeah, this is like,
layer to
this is, and the municipal code officer is our code, it's
Yeah.
not other code.
Oh, interesting, okay. Oh, yeah, because then that's exactly why, because they don't have to know New York State building code, they only have to know our
Right.
municipal code.
Yeah.
That makes sense then.
So
Yeah,
I
think
guess
that's
I would
fine.
say right now, I feel ready to, I didn't want to necessarily move forward, but I might be able to move forward on this very quickly. I would have to do a budget modification to fund the position, but we could potentially kind of move
Yeah,
forward.
well, we had it for the other position, we're waiting to hear back from,
Yeah.
anyway, so that's.
Yeah.
That would be.
But that, I would have to do, either transfer fund balance or, eventually I'm gonna have to do that probably anyway, but, just funding, I will have to fund it from like a budget modification. Cause we only funded the zoning coordinator position, so if we get that other one, the municipal aid, we will just be switching.
Yeah,
we
we
didn't
didn't
fund
add
it.
it as an additional.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But we do have we have like a building manager position that we haven't, I don't think we're gonna be filling this year, so I could easily.
Yeah, we have somewhere to.
Yeah.
Try to.
Okay, so I would like to, then I'll move forward on that. The reason why I was bringing that up is because if we're ready to move on to priorities, I wanted to sort of have a preliminary discussion partially for Renee's benefit, but also we haven't done this yet. And the board has had a few discussions about priorities, but now that we have a full board, my goal is to start moving forward and with being led by our priorities. Because we have, I feel like a broken record, but we're doing too many things and it's not sustainable. And so I want to have, I'd like to maybe in August kind of agree upon a core list of our guiding priorities so that if something, it makes it easier for us to say no or to say, we're going to consider this later. Because I think you know, we kind of need to have a criteria that we use to get anything on the agenda, is kind of like what the goal would be, and it would be nice if we kind of knew ahead, if everyone kind of knew like, oh yeah, of course this is on the agenda because this fits in. So I wanted to outline just what I see as the core priorities, and then have you guys also, we're not making decisions right now, but I just thought it would be good to have it since it's your first meeting, Renee, and we're then gonna kind of talk about the workshop agenda.
Can I quickly, before we talk about priorities?
Oh, sure.
You guys can talk because you're not voting on it.
Well,
I would like to be there for.
we can't conduct business.
Not have a quorum.
Um, okay, so. Okay. This is sort of my quick, so the way I'm operating as, you know, we have 6 months. I have 6 months that I know I'm in this role. And so, the thing I'm focusing on that I would like to focus on most is town departments. So that's sort of like where I see the most, I like the internal work of like supporting our town operations. To me, as the budget officer and the supervisor, the number one thing that I'm thinking about is the 2025 budget. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now, because we used to, you know, it's usually budget season is October. So it's like, okay, we've got a few months. I do not feel that way. The reason I don't feel that way is because last year, the board talked a lot about what we wanted to do this year. And that is to do a pay assessment, a benefit assessment, a staff assessment, and a tech assessment for all the departments. And to me, that's gonna take from now until September to really get like a solid list and reviews, and to start plugging that in to see what that's gonna look like. And then, so that's, for me, that's for each department. My short-term priorities would be getting the website published. This year, I would like for us to, we have our original work that we contracted with our IT consultant company that we pay $2,200 a month to, was to have Microsoft licenses, to have the Microsoft 360 accounts. And I would like to, now we have to pay for those. But Mary Lou, we talked about how the overall cost of that is gonna be between $3,000 and $4,000. So we talked about maybe needing to get some quotes for that. But that was a part of the original proposal that was a part of the work that we were supposed to have Fish do.
Oh, okay, so that was something that's already been approved and it was bid on.
It wasn't, it was like, it's not part of the monthly payment that we pay though. But it's
Okay.
part of what they were supposed to do in the original contract was switch us over. But we still have to pay for the licenses.
So it's just, were licenses included in the contract? And it just said how much they were, or?
I'll look at that. But if
All
they
right,
were, I think that says to me that we would just be.
Right, if it's already been approved and part of the contract, that's great.
Okay,
Then we don't have to go out anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
but if
no,
not.
so
then-
let's look at that again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. Okay, and then doing the IT infrastructure upgrade, so. With those licenses, everyone would have a suite of apps that we could start utilizing.
Yeah.
For day-to-day operations. So that's not department specific. That would be like interdepartmental shared calendars, like cloud-based drives for town board member, that sort of thing. So those are sort of like the things that I think that those things take up a lot of time. And then we have the current legislation that's before us. And so that is the mapping, the chapter 140 subdivision code. We'd like to be able to be passing that like in August, potentially at the end of August, not in August, at the end of August, potentially. Then we have the community preservation plan, which I think we're gonna see where that goes next week. But if that moves forward, if we vote for those laws and it goes to the public, there's not gonna be a ton of more work for the town board to do. However, that is going to be a major discussion point in the community. So it might be something that is gonna add time. That's all. I'm just like thinking about that. And then we are going to be announcing the revow soon. So we contracted with a agency to do a townwide revow, which will take effect in 2026, but it's a 2-year process. And part of that is the public component. And so this summer and fall, it's about getting the information out about what's going to happen, what the public should expect, and how they'll access information and all of that. So that's going to get started with, I know they're going to do like podcast style interviews, make some video content, things that we can like post, and then there's like a website that will be used for the public to be able to see everything that's going on.
Respectfully, what do they plan to do for like the older?
That's part, I think they had like a list, and I need to send that to you, but I think they are planning on doing postcard mailings and that kind of thing too.
Yeah, they had a couple different bases covered. I remember right.
Yeah.
From how they notice everything. And how we're doing like community outreach, I think is what they call that section. They had like a few different like steps and options they did.
Yeah. And then, I think the other thing that we were just talking about is focusing, like specifically, I've been focusing a lot on the constabulary. I'm starting to focus on working with the code enforcement office. And I spent a lot of time in my first few weeks with the transfer station operations. You know, that to me, some of these, like I was talking about the code enforcement, those aren't necessarily things that I feel like can wait until budget for next year. So having more enforcement ability is something that I think the town needs like before now, but so that like is another priority that I have. There's things that looking ahead to next year that I think are really important for us to think about. And so in our budget, I think we will also need to be looking at potentially thinking about the process of a new town hall. And then I also want to be thinking about either revising the comp plan or having a outside consultant help us to get started on another code revision, which I know sounds, but what I would like is I would like something to be more, I'm thinking about a comp plan, but something to make things like unified. But I do feel like we're ready for an updated comprehensive plan.
It's definitely, what was it, 2006 was the last update?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 18 years.
So those are things we don't have to talk about now, but there are things in terms of like the budget that I think when we're thinking about next year, we should think about them in
Yeah,
context
start
of
to
the
have
budget.
it in our mind for this year.
And then I know another thing, which is like a priority of you, Charlotte, is like starting to get a handle on grant opportunities. And are there any that we need to actually take some actions this year? If there's some to work towards, because a lot of the grants that are available to us are actually pretty complicated and long. And then lastly, on the grants is like the grants that we have. So the bridge, the Boys Mill Bridge, the park bathroom, and the JCAP grant, the administering those grants is,
Administrative.
yeah.
The follow-up, the post-award.
Yeah.
I can, Karen, we can talk about that separately or when we start to get award notices of what needs to be, just let me know and I'm happy to volunteer some time towards that effort. I do grant follow-up reporting all the time now, so I don't mind doing it. It'll be different than a food pantry here, but I think I can figure out. It'll just be, you know, bridge supports instead of cancer-free meetings that I'm.
okay. Is there anything that you would like to add that I'm missing? This is sort of me being like, trying to.
Yeah, I have, I know how it might seem that I asked the commission to maybe write that letter, but I had no idea about it until 5:30 this afternoon. Even though I was here during their meeting when they did do another walk of the property, which I think I mentioned last month, because I think our one meeting was right after. And this is at no fault to anyone current standing in this board and the order of it, but this property and the property that our children play out of this town have been severely neglected for at least 6 years, I'd say, in certain areas. And I think that we really need to prioritize specifically the back of this building where there's a lot of issues going on. And I know some of that will come with other things. Like I'm currently working on the concrete quote. I just have to finish, Bethany's doing some pictures for me tomorrow. The last few, I needed to get the quote sent over to us.
Councilman
for
Coleman
that.
got the quotes for the fence.
Oh, perfect. So those, but it, and the equipment, like I know, in the letter, they had asked about equipment, and there was an incident which I think is technically, I can't talk about on, public with equipment, that we need to. Not all of the playground equipment from back there is from when this first became a park, when I was 6 years old. Or 7 years
We
old.
did
So a lot of them,
Some of, actually,
except for the dome, the wooden ones, I mean.
the one they found, so that's actually,
Worse.
no, they're less than 10 years.
The tire
This-
swing?
mhm.
Huh,
So,
interesting, cause the.
I
one
agree.
Yeah, that, but the equipment needs, and if it's that we use, like, I wanted to talk to you about what we have left of ARPA balance, because, well, yes, I agree, the funding we applied for through the county for the bathrooms at the park are a necessity for our town park, but hindsight, I would have suggested, if I had known when we applied for that about the state of this technical park back here, I would have applied differently, I think, or suggested we did. But I think we should take some of the ARPA money, because like right now, like there's almost no equipment for our summer program to use back there that's inspected or that's
Mhm.
within, close and usable. So I think that we should really, and I'm happy to be the one to take that on and meet with Ashley and Bethany in the rec department to see exactly what equipment they want and the ranges, and follow procurement policy to bring it back to the board. But that and the shed that they've been requesting for like almost 2 years now, I think really needs to be done for them. I think that it's one of our most successful, and it's one of the biggest revenue departments that we have in town, obviously tax, like what's taxes aside, but like that charges like for our programming, or offers all. At the other side, we also offer a lot of free programming based on, it's one of our more successful, not that none of our departments are successful, but I think that we really need to support it, and it's a safety issue. So I think that for me, I agree with a lot of stuff that you had on your list too, Aaron, that for short term and long term. But me also, like, this is like the equipment would be the next priority, knowing that Michael has a quote of the fences, or Councilman Coleman has a quote for the fences, and I should within the next like week to 2 weeks have one.
Yeah.
Definitely by the audit
The-
meeting, I should have one for
Mhm.
the concrete removal, which hopefully should not be a long process, but.
Yeah, so for the ARPA funds, I like the idea, we have to appropriate them by the end of this year. And then I think they have to be spent by the end of 2026,
Yes, I think that
but we have to appropriate them by this year.
is correct.
But we can use them because we used ARPA money to fund the
The other
wait, so I believe, I believe we can use it for that purpose. And we could do like a revitalization of that. I will say we did find out about what we need to be doing in terms of annual inspections.
Yes, yeah.
And and just seeing, in terms of the playground equipment, I don't know, like, should some of it get rehabbed and some of it replaced? Like, I think if there's a way that we could do an assessment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of sitting down with the department and thinking about that space and, yeah. And like what type of storage, because we've had some fresh conversations about storage. And,
Yeah, if there's
But yeah, I like-
something else that they would like to
Yeah.
request that's different from the shed, but it's frustrating to know that they have a leaky shed, and that and again, not this rendition of the town board, but that I came back in February following procurement policy, ready to approve one with a plan with everything in place for it, and it still hasn't happened, and that's also when I drawn up everything, and I know that's at no fault to anyone right now, but it's.
but what I hear you
Public
saying
perspective.
is, this shouldn't wait until next year.
Absolutely.
We should find the funding, and I think we all agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and I think that like same for like the fence and the concrete, like if we end
Yeah.
up having to use ARPA, like if it's like fixing and making the things that are our children's play areas safe and where our kids are watched, because we're one of the only after school programs in the area. That's why we're so popular. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anyone on the board doesn't think it's
Right.
important. It's gotten like kind of pushed, like their letter said, and
I think we can,
I think we could come up with solutions.
yes,
That it wouldn't be like we're completely overhauling the back there, like whether it's we repurpose some of it, cause I'm all for also repurposing, I don't wanna throw out stuff, I don't wanna be wasteful, but like I know some of them, like when I looked at them, I was like, I don't know how, you know, I would fall off of that and break it if I'm gone, you know, type of thing, so.
Okay, so
yeah,
I've added that to the list.
So that's on my list and,
Well, can I just
Oh,
ask,
yeah.
sorry, you had mentioned, or the letter had mentioned too, like pruning and weed whacking and then poison ivy removal. Is that something as, like I could come do as a volunteer? I mean, weed whacking, it wouldn't be, I could clean it up and prune and do poison ivy removal, but it wouldn't be like.
yes, I think technically you could come and volunteer to do that, right? Cause we have volunteers to do the other means, but the point is that that is supposed to be handled
Right.
currently by a department in town. And it has not, and
Okay.
not on a regular basis, so I think their point of putting that in there is that. At times it's very hard to make sure that the park and the area back here.
Yeah.
Are mowed on a regular basis.
They have been doing the mowing, it's been,
Yes, has been done,
On
yes, I've
schedule.
heard that the mowing has been much better, but it was mostly that, like, if you like, right this window right here in the kitchen, like, there's a garden box right between with only like a 3, maybe 4 foot, like, walkway between, and that, it's all, you can't walk through. It's like overgrown the last time they were out, but when I, like a month ago when I did the walkthrough with them, everything was overgrown, like, in
I
the
think we
walking
should-
areas,
that's
so.
something that we probably need to look at, in terms of our grounds.
Like procedures.
Because I think it's clear, like the mowing is clear in there, but I think that's something we need to like.
Yeah, the actual
sure.
like landscaping maintenance of weed
Yeah.
whacking or.
Yeah,
edging
yeah.
out, so,
It might not be covered under anyone's role right now.
Yes, yeah, and I think
Um,
a lot of the other stuff that they mentioned in their letter with the idea going into next year, like the sandbox getting cleaned and things like that, I think when we start to dive in. And like the trailer and they had other stuff on their list that didn't go into this letter, like they had stuff like the trailer and the electric and generator, like that it's not fenced in, like that's like bigger, long-term. Should be improved things, which I think a lot of those will come to fruition. Start to speak about potentially a new town hall, but yeah, the grounds was another just item in town, and I know it won't be solved this year, but like start to look and try to think of like the security assessment we have. And doing some of the suggested updates that I know we just had that presented to us and we haven't gotten the full.
I need to send it to you.
Okay, cool, I wasn't sure if it came in from them yet, cause I know that you were waiting to get it sent to you, but the security consultant just. Start to do some of the immediate updates they suggested, I know that they also had long-term ones, but. Just for a few different immediate ones, like I know there was, I can't remember them now, but there was a few in their presentation that I was like, oh, that's a simple, easy.
Cameras.
Updated, yeah, cameras, yeah, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, no, we need a camera in the hallway, camera in the entrance, but like certain things like that, like I think that we should look at that and see. Maybe prioritize what we see from the immediate list that they suggested for each building. What we feel we could prioritize, cause I would suggest that we also, not that I wanna spend all the rest of the ARPA money on these other things, but I think that. The ARPA money was there to replace and help us transition into the newer world in a post-COVID time and make up for the funds that could have been lost then, so.
Yeah,
This to me falls under that updating that we needed.
yeah, I think in
Post-COVID,
terms
you
of
know.
like whether we use it directly as ARPA funding
Or the transfer.
or if it's to
Lost
replace
funds,
lost
yeah.
funds. The use, it depends on if the use is a qualified use, but okay.
But yeah, not specifically fund balance is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, it's my point, like I think that there are improvements that could be done just to make it safer. These were what my priorities as safety and security.
Yeah, with my nieces and my cousin's kids being in camp and coming here and seeing like the line that goes all the way down, and it's only so many
Sign
spots,
up,
right?
I
It's
know.
just-
We're popular.
Yeah, it's a really great program. I think it's our support.
I mean, that's pretty much my list besides getting a pirate ship back in town. I'll wait for my next election for that one.
Renee, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm just kind of taking everything in now and learning the process. I'm sure I won't be as quiet in a couple of weeks, but
Um,
thank you.
yeah, so I think I just wanted to, for our next agenda, we have, 3 public hearings. Mary Lou, we're gonna be doing the seeker at the workshop meeting,
Yeah, you can do that. That's fine.
but we'll hold the public hearings and then we'll make seeker determinations potentially at that meeting.
Yes.
Okay. So the other thing is we will need to have a discussion at that meeting about the local laws. So depending on, I am anticipating that there will be a longer public hearings. We've had sometimes public hearings where not a lot of people come. I do anticipate that there will be a showing, a bigger showing of the public. So there's gonna be, we need to plan for an hour and a half potentially. So then we'll be making a decision. So to keep the timeline that was outlined for those, the local laws have to pass by the end of the month if we want to get them on the ballot. So that, it's gonna be a discussion that we're gonna have at the meeting. And the other thing is if we're like, yes, we actually do think we should do this, but we need to make some edits. There's only certain things we can edit.
Yeah, without
Well, not
going back.
more like that we're allowed.
Oh, yeah, that we're allowed to edit.
So this percentage.
Yeah,
the-
yeah, I
you know.
remember.
So we might, at that, if we make any changes, we can't vote on the laws that night. We would be voting on them at our next scheduled meeting. So I'm just bringing that up in terms of like thinking about the time, that there might be like 2 hours dedicated to that. So we're already talking about 8:30 for. Yes. Then in terms of what we've already decided is that we will be working on the letter, the information sessions, and possible public hearing for
the zoning.
the map. For the zoning code, I did speak with Mary Lou about the proposals that we had for deletions. And I don't know, I think it might be good to have a discussion about that when we do have more board members, but sort of the overall vibe of that discussion was that if a use can happen, it's better that we have it in the code so that we can regulate it. So if there's a way that just simply deleting something doesn't mean that it can't occur in town, I guess. So like and then the other thing that Mary Lou brought up is like our comprehensive plan specifically mentions having resorts as a use.
I'll give you back resorts if we can take gas stations out. That's my father.
Oh, gas station.
Yeah, that was the one. I was like, it wasn't golf courses. I couldn't remember the other one that I wanted. It was gas stations. Mary Lou, what about gas stations? We
I
want
have
gas
a feel,
in grocery stores.
I have a feeling that, the community might not like that.
I don't know, Mary Lou,
I don't know. I don't
but I
know.
can do it. I'll give resorts back since they're in our comp. I would be willing to compromise there, but gas stations was the one other one I wanted to check out that me and Emily had originally said the first meeting we had inquired about tweeting. So I'll give
Well,
that.
for that conversation, I will look into gas stations.
Thanks, Mary Lou.
Okay.
But
No new, wait, can it just be like no newly built? They can reuse an old one. But
Oh, yeah, you could keep the not, pre-existing. If you took
Yeah.
gas stations out, they'd be pre-existing non-conforming, and then they'd go under our laws for things that are pre-existing non-conforming, so far as changes and things.
yeah, that's all I'm trying.
so
Yeah, I think that's better.
that we, for that, we are gonna have to refer everything to the county. So we need to have our, if we wanna stick to my target public hearing date for these things, which is our last meeting in August, which is August 29th. We'll want to get this on the Ulster County Planning Board's August agenda, which means that
We have to refer it by the end.
You have to refer it 12 days before their meeting. You have to have everything to them.
yeah.
And their meeting,
First Wednesday.
their meeting is August 7th. So you would have to get it to them
The 20.
by the 26th.
So by our audit meeting, we would have to be,
Before our audit meeting. We would
Yeah.
have to-
Because they have to have it by the 26th.
It's the 28th, right? You just said.
oh, our July audit meeting is the 25th.
Oh, so we could send it by the 20th.
Yes.
So. Okay, knowing that it's the audit meeting, I feel more
The
confident that
August-
I think we can.
It's the
have that
August
type
meeting that I wanna have the public hearing. If we
It's
can.
it's the August meeting for the public hearing.
That's the
I-
29th of August, but the July
The July one.
audit meeting is the.
I feel like we could,
So I'm gonna work on this
I'm-
week with
yeah.
Mary Lou. To have a new draft, but I think the question of use deletion is still our open question. So we just, that's
Mary Lou,
gonna,
how do we ban a use?
you make it prohibited.
Yeah, we have a prohibited use section in our zoning.
Are we familiar commercial event spaces? Event stations for that?
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna work with Mary Lou. The workshop meeting. I'm hoping to have those drafts. And then I think because at our workshop meeting, I want to let Mary Lou leave after the CPP stuff. We'll try to get like a good solid draft like by the end of the week. Cause we already know what and I think if you have any questions, you can reach out to Mary Lou directly about that so that we can look at that at the workshop meeting, but then we need to be scheduling that for public hearing on the 25th so that we can refer it and I can send it to the county on the next day. We'll still have an opportunity. We're not like passing the law, but
Yeah.
Because the changes we've been talking about making are significant enough that we have to have a public hearing regardless because we held it open.
Yes, yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
even
I
if we
think-
made
I
no
think we can
changes,
do
we
it.
still
I
have to.
think we can- Yeah, even if we did changes and prefer, we still have to reschedule. I think that we can have it with some clear answers about deleting those few sections. Like I said, I'm willing to go back on resorts. You can forget resorts.
So
As far
I
as I'm
do think
concerned,
it
but
would be
yeah.
good to, you guys have a chance to like relook at the comp plan ahead of some of this, because we can't make our new code conflict with our comp. So it's just,
Yeah, I'll take a.
I went back through when Mary Lou said that and I was like, oh, this is, okay, so right now we're talking about already we're at like potentially a 3-hour workshop meeting and all we have are like those 3 kind of items. So I kind of want to leave it at that. Oh, we do have to talk about we want to, I think this is our opportunity to talk about the short-term transit rental cap. Is at our workshop meeting, because we have to set it by our August business meeting.
We said it at the August business meeting is
So-
how it's written in the.
Yep,
Yeah,
so I think we need to at least get some sort of,
I think.
I
the
know the
workshop meeting
housing
is the
advisory
I think
committee-
that's the deadline I gave them to send the comment was our workshop.
I think we'd already talked about it. So they'll send us their recommendations, but then the board needs to, as a body, needs to be deciding about what we want to do. So I think we just need to get that.
Should we do that at the audit meeting where we have just the one public hearing and signing?
I
Or
am
do you want to
trying
keep
not
trying
to put
keep it?
anything
Okay,
on the audit meeting.
I'm fine with that.
But I do think we need to have that. We need to at least know what direction we're going in, align on the direction, because I know last year it took us a while. And then I felt like we were scrambling to do the thing that we were trying to do with that. Okay. The only other things that I could foresee with the audit meeting would be, if anything comes up, like I'm gonna be presenting the financial reports. And if I have any clarity about any of the ongoing things that we've been working on, so the email, IT, or the positions.
Okay, yeah.
So those things could potentially be on that agenda, but otherwise, I think this would be the core agenda.
I think that's fine. If I do get the concrete demolition date back in time, I would just like us to look at it if I have it back by the workshop meeting, just so we can kind of.
Oh, yeah, we're supposed to do the bid, the quote,
Oh, yeah, and the quote,
highway roof.
highway.
We might be awarding,
A highway roof, yeah.
look at concrete.
If back in time, I'll let you know.
And the fence, but the fence is gonna require us to,
Get it out of.
I think, bid. Unless, well, maybe it's Public Works. Anyway, well,
Yeah, we can,
okay.
we shall see, but yeah, I think that sounds.
Okay,
All right, Tony.
that's all I have. I didn't do the in memoriam.
I meant to text you and ask, I do know one
Okay,
to say, to close in memoriam for, and that would be Uncle Willie. Beloved parade goer and thrower from Rosendale, who owned bars many years. He always led I can't remember, it's a memorial for the July Parade in Kingston. He owned the Handlebar, and then Uncle Willie's actual dive bar, if you ever went there in Kingston, but he was just like a really known person.
And it all started at the well when I was a kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And
he started at the
he-
well.
He was one of my father's dearest friends. And he cried like a baby at my father's funeral.
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm friends with
So-
Dee, so.
Oh, yeah, yes. I grew up with B. Well, I grew up with B's mom.
I was gonna say
Um,
his mom, I think.
B's mom.
He looked very good.
But yeah, he always called me Miss Priest because I'm one of 5 girls and I'm sure he could never remember my first name. And I always called him Billy because that's who he was when I was a kid.
He called me
He
the
was the
actor.
best.
He called my dad the actor. So, but yeah, so, and we will close and adjourn today's meeting in memoriam to Uncle Willie, whose real name I'm sure barely
William
anyone
Gouldy.
really knows.
William Gouldy.
Who's the one that knows it. So, and with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right. We don't have to vote on it, but we can. All in favor? Aye.
Nay, we're staying.
Oh,
on.
don't
Are
say
you-
that.
Yay, I forgot it's a real rule. Yay, we can adjourn, re-motion.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop. Thanks, Mary Lou.
Thanks, Mary Lou.
Okay, everybody have a good night and a